I mean, there was a lot of talk before about building a new, completely different facility, right?
Right.
And they've decided not to do that, and instead they're going to refurbish the Carrier Dome, and they say they're going to be able to do it without moving any games, any basketball or football games. But,
Really?
but there are some this is going to be really interesting, and I'm not quite sure that I love it, and I'll explain why. Coming up in a second, we'll talk about it. But you got to understand the technology that they're using and what this is going to mean for inside the dome and outside, for sports and for other events. We'll get into it coming up. Kevin Mellot is a terrorism expert, global security expert, president of Erase Enterprises, and you'll never guess who the new leader, it looks like, could be of Al-Qaeda. On the line is Kevin Mellot. Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So the word is the new leader could be the son, right, of Osama bin Laden.
Well, some people are floating it. I think they're floating the idea that there will be a reverence factor for the son. But from my perspective and looking at how the hardball players operate, I'm not sure they're going to give him the same respect because he has not done any of the things that his father had done as far as being in combat and being a leader in the combat field in the Mujahideen. So I'm not quite sure that's going to translate like that.
But it's interesting how we've forgotten about Al-Qaeda. And yesterday there was a story out that they have a propaganda magazine that this is incredible.
Yeah, it's called Inspire. They've had it for several years, and it's kind of one of the ways that they get information out to the recruits as well as to their existing personnel. And you got to remember, Al-Qaeda means the base in Arabic, and the operation is built from the base up. It's not top down like most countries' militaries. You have a general and it goes down. Al-Qaeda is developed on the premise that the base, the cells, call the shots, call the hits, and they get the religious and the financial blessing from the top, but that they're operational at the local level. So the magazine is important to get out information to the local level on both training and also, and they call it Inspire, to inspire them to go and carry out acts.
And tell me, when right after 9/11, we learned a lot about Osama bin Laden and his family. The fact that the family, I believe there were members of the family living in the United States, that the family didn't support what he had done. Whatever happened, where is the family after years of tracking him down, and where is the family of Osama bin Laden? Not the immediate family, but his extended family.
Yeah, his extended family lives in Saudi Arabia. They've got relatives throughout the world, but it's important to remember that there's a lot of notable Saudi families that live in the U.S. Some of the year they have property in the U.S. and his brother actually died in Texas, down by San Antonio years back, and it's actually one of the things whenever he said they're trying to find DNA, that wasn't really a problem because we already had a body here in the U.S. of a relative.
Wow.
But the deal is, prior to him going off and starting to blow things up with Al-Qaeda, they did have relatives here in the U.S. and other parts of the Western world, and they did not like his approach. They thought he was really out on the left side. And keep in mind, this all started back in Afghanistan fighting the Russians,
right?
Which we endorsed.
Right.
We thought that was a good idea, and then he took the 180 and came after us.
It's amazing how that always seems to happen, and who knows if that could happen. Probably could happen, and may very well happen again with people we support, and they turn around and come after us. How about ISIL versus Al-Qaeda right now? Do they work in conjunction? Are they enemies or are they allies?
Well, you remember that ISIL came from Iraq, Al-Qaeda in Iraq.
Right.
So they were an Al-Qaeda cell, but they just took it real to the ultimate extremes on the brutality and the torture. And the big split was that ISIL decided it was okay to kill other Muslims if they didn't agree with them or didn't do it the way they thought it should be done, where Al-Qaeda was like, no, we're not killing Muslims. That's not part of the deal. So that's where your big split took place. They tried to work together in Syria, especially since ISIL started getting pounded on, and as more military units have added on the U.S. side of the deal to try to wipe out ISIL. they've been more willing to cooperate with other Islamic extremist elements. So Al-Qaeda and ISIL have done more cooperation in the last year and a half or so,
right.
but they're still on different ideology tracks as far as what's allowed in the fight.
Really interesting. Kevin Mellot, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Christine with an update.